Today's card of the day is Esper Sentinel. 1 white for artifact creature human soldier. With whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card unless that player pays X, where X is Esper Sentinel's power. 1/1. I'm not going to hold back. This card is nutty. I really do like this effect, and honestly, I'm guessing whether I should get something like a Mana Vault or an Esper Sentinel on my Enlightened Tutor on turn 1, because these cards are just super good. Like, my mono white deck is about to be bussin', and it's no wonder why, right? Like, this is very clear, similar power level into something like a... Now, it might be a little different in terms of how the ceiling of them work, but the floor is no doubtably super strong Commander, and that is compared with a Rhystic Remora. This card is very close if you're playing in higher powers, people are playing more non-creature based effects, and thus it becomes 1 mana, sit on the battlefield, draw some cards. Of course, there are some differences in them in that this doesn't also cost mana to upkeep, so it sticks on the field potentially the whole game, depending on how long the game starts and how many people are willing to interact with the 1/1. Honestly, when I see someone's Bird of Paradise on turn 1 in Commander, am I hitting it? Most of the time, not gonna hit it. It's probably gonna let it stay and let it bop and do whatever it wants, right? And I sort of have the same feeling for this. Like, honestly, are you hitting someone's 1/1? I mean, this might be a strong contender to hit. Like, if you could probably hit someone's 1 mana spell enchantment, I mean, people don't really hit Remora, right? Because they just figure like, oh, I have backup. But this is, unlike Remora, even more recurable because it's a creature and it's an artifact. Like, it's obviously a super strong effect, and I'm dumping it in my deck so fast. It's also pretty comparable to something a little stronger like a Smothering Tithe as well, because the attack effect actually scales with the power. And I was actually wondering how they would make this effect scale on a creature, because I know a lot of times people do refer, and white is the color of like creatures as well as green, how they would make this effect work for creature effects only, because it seems like a lot of the other effects are a lot more to do with enchantments, which aggro decks don't really want. But this is sort of an effect that also aggro decks want and can use, that also advances their game plan, unlike the more enchantment-based effects that have this tax effect. And so that's super hyphy, because we can get a bunch of aggro decks in here also swinging with this for a lot of mana, as well as drawing cards with that. And, you know, I'm a really big proponent of, like, not having all the Gandalfs just running around playing Commander, because those games take a minute, and it's so frustrating sometimes, because they're just sitting there drawing cards and stuff like that. There's Simic players just sitting there drawing cards, no one's doing anything about them. Hey, now I can be a Simic player playing my mono white deck. It's pretty dope. I really like this effect. The questions are, like, do you want to put all your eggs in one basket, really? Because you can pump the power of this and make people not pay because they just won't have the mana to pay. I think generally it's easier to pump this and give it higher power than it is actual have the mana to pay its costs. Do you put your eggs in the basket on this one? I'm guessing personally not. But if you are playing just like a super resilient deck with all your creatures, maybe you're playing a Myriad of Skyrim or something like this, your creatures are super resilient, or also have like artifact protection or whatever, creature protection, maybe you do. Maybe you bite the bullet and just ensure that you get a card draw later in the game. And that's a pretty strong effect, because you're also, you know, like, advancing your board rate. This is also a 1 mana spell that could potentially win the game. Honestly, is it going to win the game to EDH with beats? Probably not, but this is also a Modern Horizon set. Like, this thing can go in humans. It can go for the beats in the humans. And Remora is not going to kill anyone, but Sentinel might, especially with that power. Like, it gets a big butt, it starts pounding. Damn! Yeah, hands down, pretty strong effect. And it sucks too, because I know it's gonna cost like a pretty penny, and I'm gonna buy it. I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm gonna have to buy a few of these. I'm gonna have to buy the foil. I'm gonna have to buy the EDH for my EDH deck, and I'm gonna have to buy the 4 for my new modern deck. That's gonna have some theme to it. I don't know yet, but it's gonna have 4 of these. Okay, that's all I know. But yeah, this is definitely 10 out of 10. Probably play in all power levels if you can. I'm actually curious if maybe people don't even play it in like lower power levels, because people do play a lot of non-creature spells in lower power levels still. And is this something they want to pay? They're probably not going to pay. And because they don't pay, people are just probably going to see it as a high level, high power card. And I don't know, people don't play for Mystic Study already. So is that a high powered card? I still see it in low powered deck, in low power metas. So who knows? Anyways, what do you guys think of this card? You guys playing it? You guys not playing it? I'm definitely playing it. This is a nutty card. I think that odds of you winning with this card are pretty high, just because of the amount of sheer draw. And even if they don't like play into this card, I think that having the 1 mana asymmetrical tax on this is pretty strong, and also increasing that value by pumping its power is going to be super strong as well in higher metas because it's going to slow the game down while also not making it mandatory that it's slow. So even if someone tries to just play into this card and your other opponents don't, you're still netting off of that, right? And also your other opponents aren't going to be aren't going to be playing their spells because they want to give you card draw. They're losing out because now we've got two players that are playing their spells, advancing their board state and whatnot, and the other twos aren't. And so if you're the one that has this, you're on par with the person who's just advancing their board state. It's just a win-win. I like this sort of effect. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of this card in the comments below. You guys rolling with it, playing with it? Of course you're playing with it. You put it in every deck. It's bussin'.